What's going on, homies? It's your boy Stumped back from another OPTC video, and in today's video we're diving into some arena action with the new Super Sugo YAMATO transforming dual units. And when I first read this unit, it immediately jumped into my head of like the Cat Viper Dog Storm effect. So I really wanted to take her into some arenas with some no-stall teams. Yamato is actually really interesting in the sense that she has the ability to give herself cooldowns on stage 3, or she can actually give the crew cooldowns. Now, if you get her in her dual form, so basically if you just like to stall and sort of switch and then use the super swap to get into a dual form, she can give everyone like 3 turns of cooldown, which is kind of nuts. But she has so much power and so much speed that you can actually get her super switch fairly easily by the final stage, with or without stalling. So in today's video, I am doing some no-stall teams where the aim of the game is speed. We want to get to the final stage as fast as possible. We want to do as much damage output against some of the harder arenas. We're taking on Ashura first, one of the most renowned arenas to be very annoying because you need stuff like special reverse, end of turn damage, all of that fun stuff. But a character that works incredibly well is actually Momo on her team, and Colosseum Kinemon. Colosseum Kinemon was a big one for me because he's on a 5-turn cooldown with double special activation, and not only does that give Yamato cooldowns, as well as other Slasher and Free Spirit characters, but with Yamato's Captain ability, she actually gives herself 1 Super Swap charge every single time a Striker or Slasher crewmate uses a special. So having Kinemon straight off the bat, you can swap with your 2 Yamatos, use his double special activation, and with that, you'll already have 3 swaps in the bank for Yamato, allowing you to get to the final stage and do some really nice stuff with her Super Swap, her Super EX, and all that cool stuff. But as a captain, she's going to reduce the cooldowns of all characters by 1 turn at the start of the fight. At Battle 3, if you are in the Dex variation when you enter Battle 3, she's going to give herself 4 turns of cooldown. However, if you are the quick version of herself, she gives everyone 1 turn of cooldown. She gives a 5.5 times attack boost, a 1.35 times HP boost to Strikers and Slashers, and boosts all other characters by 4.75. She makes Striker and Slashers, Dex, Recovery, and Tandem Orbs have matching slot effects when you are in the Dex form, and then Quick when you are in the Quick form. Then she removes 10 turns of Bind as well, which is incredibly powerful, and adds 5% to the next final tap whenever a Slasher or Striker uses a special as well that can stack up to 200%. And then if the final tap attack boost activates for the final battle, she's going to apply a final tap attack boost based on the accumulated value. As a dual unit, though, she's going to basically apply it no matter what. I believe at no matter what, she actually applies that ability to do the extra damage based on how many times you switch and stuff like that. So she's an incredibly strong captain. She's a dual unit, obviously, so she does suffer from the dual unit effect, but she does have a Super EX, which allows her to be very strong as a captain. However, you do need to get into her dual form for that to happen, so you do need to be either using specials, so that way you can build this up into her swaps, or you can basically just be swapping and stalling as well. I found getting the super swap really wasn't that challenging. You need 9 swaps, but as long as you bring characters like Karawanda or Kinemon, you are going to get that quite nicely. Remember, in boosted content, they're basically just going to give you the super swap anyway, and obviously with the bug stall strat and high damage teams, this unit is going to be incredibly strong because she has an incredibly powerful final tap on top of an insane ability to buff the stats of the unit using the final tap. With this ability, you can actually do some insanely strong things, and I really want to see how strong her final tap is at level 5 with that ability of stacking up to 200%. She can get this by utilizing her switch ability, which does 5% whenever a crewmate uses a special that's Slasher or Striker. She can add 5% to that as well, and she also does a lot of stuff with resistance. So she has a lot of really unique buffs in the sense of making a final tap stronger, as well as making Strikers and Slashers hit incredibly hard. With her swap, she's going to remove Despair and Slot Bind as well. She gives herself a Wano Orb that goes through block. And then with her Super Swap, she gives adjacent orbs tandem as well. This works exceptionally well with Momo because Momo really needs those tandem orbs. She's part of Momo's Super Tandem. And then if you get Momo to level 5, you can easily use something like the Kinemon, the Yamato, and the Momo to do some pretty fun stuff. So as you guys saw, we tore through Ashura. We're moving on to Arena Franky now because Arena Franky has Bind. So I thought it'd be a good place to showcase her removing the bind effect in her captain ability. She can also remove Despair and Slot Bind, but if you get Despaired first, then you get blinded, you aren't going to be able to remove both, and this was a prime example of that. Her special in her dual form is going to reduce all enemies' percent damage reduction by 7 turns. She does that whether or not you are in her dual form, regardless. She's a color affinity boost at 2.75 for strikers and slashers, and gives 20% resistance for strikers and slashers as well. If the enemy has increased damage taken when the special is launched, she increases the enemy's increased damage taken to 2.25, and further increases the type effect boost of 0.25. Now, initially when I first read this, I thought she gave a conditional boost. However, that's not the case. She just increases the increased damage taken from 1.75 that she will always give to a 2.25. So if you're running double Yamato, as you guys are seeing here, you can actually really get a nice powerhouse shot with a 2.25 guaranteed additional damage taken. Plus, you can turn her color affinity into a 3-turn color affinity. Now, this is really, really strong when you have type advantage. If you don't have type advantage, obviously you are going to suffer a little bit. But having that increased damage taken no matter what allows her to hit very, very hard when you are in the dual form, because not only does she do that, but she gives slashers and striker the minus 20% resistance, which obviously stacks in with her own abilities. Because she's a Yamato too, you can actually use the Queen support, so that way you can actually get more resistance. So she's rocking like 50% resistance when you use her special, but unfortunately, now I'm looking at it, she doesn't rotate orbs, so you actually can't use that support, so ignore that last line. But, nevertheless, her special is very, very powerful. She's a dual unit, which means you can have 2 typings, effectiveness against 2 different colors, which gives her a bit more viability in the sense of that color affinity buff. The big thing that I have found a problem with this unit, when you are going super fast, is getting off the super special. Now, the super EX gives 2 turns of cooldowns to your entire crew, plus it reduces damage by 70%, boosts the attack of the final tap by 20%, and then locks orbs, changes Striker into Super Striker, and Dex to Super Dex, which is really, really good. It's an amazing ability, but you do have to have 3 of the following characters on the crew, and obviously be in her dual form. You need to have Luffy, Zoro, Nami, Usopp, Sanji, Chopper, Robin, Franky, Brook, Jinbei, Odin, Momo, Kinemon, Raizo, Ace, any of those like scabbard units. Now, whilst this isn't challenging, you have a lot of very, very good characters that can actually do this. The point of the 70% reduction is actually for her final tap. Now, as you can see with this unit, she's having a lot of buffs that are sort of going into this final tap ability, applying 20% extra stats with her super special, adding 5% every time she swaps, 10% with her super swap. If she's captain, every time a striker or slasher uses a special, she adds it into the buff. And then when you get to the final stage, she applies that extra damage buff regardless. Now, this is all well and good if you can get the final tap. Whilst there is a lot of characters that can activate her Super EX, which by the way, her Super EX can be used as a sailor, which is great because she does seem to be like amazing super sub, just like Zoro Sanji. You need to be able to get the final tap off. Now, the final tap is exceptional. Like, it's a ridiculously strong, powerful ability. It does 200% of the damage reduction effect on the crew. Example, 70% damage reduction equates to a 2.4 times buff. And she also gives herself 700 base stats and changes her own orb into Wano. Remember, the 200% stat buff is massively, drastically buffed by base stats. And if she's giving herself 700 base stats, which is going to stack with everything else, her final tap is going to go to the absolute wazoo with the 200% and having that 70% reduction. If you have like 90% reduction, you're looking at like a 2.8 times buff, which is kind of crazy. At 90%, 95%, you're looking at like a 2.9 times buff just for Yamato with that final tap. With the super tandem of Sanji and Zoro as well, they're going to make the Wano orbs at 2.75. And this final tap is going to go absolutely crazy. However, you need to be on the last stage and have 3 of the following characters on the crew. And the characters include all of the Straw Hats and Odin. So all of those extra characters like Momo and the Scabbards and all of those really good units that you can build teams for with this character do fall off with her last tap, which is a huge problem when you do want to get all that extra damage out. However, she is a slasher booster, so you have a lot of other very, 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 very powerful final taps. Stuff like K-Dad, stuff like Roger Whitebeard. And she can do some really, really cool stuff there. With that per se, though, she is a rainbow booster. While she's centered around strikers and slashers, you can bring any Luffy, any Robin, any Franky, any Brook. Like, you can bring any of them at all. But if you are looking within the slasher tag, you really only have, like, Zoro's, the new Zoro Sanji. There's a couple of Brooks, obviously. Franky Tanky, Robin with that lore combination, and then obviously Kazuki Odin's. They're going to work exceptionally well alongside this particular Yamato. If you guys want to see some content with that final tap ability, let me know in the comment section below. But overall, I'm having a lot of fun with this character. Seeing her operate in arenas is just, it's really, really fun, and she's an incredibly fun unit to own, and I'm really looking forward to the big damage numbers that we can see further down the line. But let me know your thoughts and opinions of Yamato in the comment section below. While you're down there, don't forget to belt the like button, hit the subscribe button, all of that good stuff. Most importantly, wherever you guys are in this beautiful world, please remember to enjoy the rest of your day. Best of luck to whoever is summoning today for this particular character. I wish you all the best. Most importantly, like I said, wherever you guys are, enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you all for watching, and I will catch you all in the next one. Let's...
僕を止められると思うな。